The September 7 meeting of the Eden Prairie City Council will now come to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? HRA is adjourned. Moving on to the formal council meeting. First item of business is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion for approval?
Before there's a motion, could I ask for an amendment to the agenda so that I could make a statement at the provision or time for council member reports?
Are there any other changes to the agenda? Is there a motion to approve the agenda with the modification by Councilmember Duckstead?
Move approval of the agenda.
Second.
Further changes? There's been a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Agenda is approved. Moving on to the approval of minutes. All right. Any further thoughts on that item? If not, Councilmember Duckstead.
I just had a different subject, and it pertains to the possible or imminent need for the council to move forward and find another city manager. I can't speak for at this point for our city manager, but I understand that he is in a job status right now, which is very close to becoming considered, rather, the city manager of Edina. Correct me if I'm wrong. However, in the event that that does occur and it looks very plausible, I think that our council has a duty to move forward with dispatch to find another city manager. And to that end, I believe that we should immediately set in motion a mechanism to obtain or find a recruiter who can compile for us a number of possible city managers which would serve the city in a manner that we feel needs to be served. And to that end, I do have one person that I can mention, a person that I had met some time ago locally at Eden Prairie by the name of Greg Albrecht. I think he's a Rotarian, and I think he has experience in recruiting. And I would suggest that we strongly consider having somebody on the council, maybe the mayor could designate 2 of the council members to immediately contact him and set in motion a search for qualified city managers so that we can quickly set in motion an opportunity to find and interview city managers. So I just want to throw that out for a discussion and possibly some action at this time so that we move forward rather than wait around and not fly ahead of the airplane. I may just stop at this point. May I ask the city manager at this time what his job status is with Edina so that we can make some plans? Are you being considered tonight for the position? Is that?
Yep, that's correct.
Have you heard anything at this moment?
I have not.
You expect to know by the end of the night whether or not you've been accepted?
I do.
And in the event that happens, I take it you'll let us know forthwith.
I will.
All right. All right. With that, I think that we have a duty to move forward with dispatch rather than wait around.
Councilman Duckstead, I think your idea makes sense. I know Mr. Albrecht. I know that he is a recruiter, member of Rotary, of the Chamber. I know he's very involved with the ABC Foundation in town. I know he's done municipal recruiting. I think there'd be a great benefit to having a local person involved as a recruiter in the selection process. I don't know if we need to. Are you asking the council to take an action this evening?
I would think the sooner the better, and at this time at least we can formulate a plan or a procedure that we could use to go forward so we can get this show on the road. This is an important situation. We as city manager, the city should be run properly, and I think we should immediately do something about it so that we don't put it off.
I agree with your comments. As I said, if I don't know whether it makes sense to send 2 council members or not. It seems to me I think Mr. Albrecht is known to most, if not all of us. Either there's comfort with him or there's not, and we can talk a little bit about that this evening. Let's see what the other council members have to say. Councilmember Case.
I'm not sensing the panic, I guess, that Councilmember Duckstad is. I have been through this process twice. We have incredibly competent staff at the department head levels that can run this city quite effectively. And when we would appoint an interim city manager. So I'm not sensing any type of panic. In fact, I think this is such a really important and large decision that it really calls for exactly the opposite of what Councilmember Duckstad is pushing tonight, and that is to sit back and settle down. And I would really first like to have the city manager at some point, and I'm not sitting watching his phone or anything tonight. I think he needs to find out what's happening and then let us know in an email tomorrow or something. We don't know anything tonight. I mean, if you feel comfortable if you find out something that's different tonight and telling us, but we don't know anything this evening, and if he lets us know in an email tomorrow or the next day, at that point, again, Your Honor, if you want to call a special meeting, that's fine, but I think it's appropriate to come next meeting with maybe a list of criteria for what we're looking for in maybe a city manager, maybe to even tell a recruiter what we'd be looking for. I think that might even determine the type of recruiter. I mean, I think we're just really jumping. It feels like jumping the gun to knee-jerk react as opposed to sitting back in a real calm and collected way and plotting our path forward. First thought occurs to me that it seems to make sense to have, with elections and possibly a new council and a new mayor, that council would be the ones likely that we would want to choose a successor if this even ends up needing that. And so for us to just be plunging quickly, we could make some big mistakes. And I've been part of a process where we've gone through a detailed process of a national search, and I've been through the opposite where we jumped really quickly. And I would definitely encourage us to slow down and go through a very thoughtful, detailed, possibly national, possibly for sure statewide search, and work on the process of what we're going to do to find that person. And that's going to take some, I think, some thinking. And I just don't see any reason to jump, knee-jerk react, and to panic.
Well, I don't know the Councilmember Duckstad said anything about panic, and I think the council's been, has been patient. I mean, the issue came up at the last council meeting. Councilmember Duckstad wanted to take action at that time. The council disagreed, and we held the matter in abeyance. I mean, there's no question that if Mr. Neal doesn't finalize his arrangement with United today or in the near future, then nothing else would happen. I mean, the only thing that Mr. Duckstad is talking about is hiring a recruiter. He's not talking about who the city manager should be or what the qualifications of that person should be either. I mean, there's no question that this council would give input to that recruiter before they initiated the search. There's no question there would be other inputs to that recruiter as well. I think we're just talking about whether or not to engage someone to begin that process.
Just don't think we're there yet. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's just a matter of again. I don't want this to be. My understanding is that Edina is going to decide tonight, right? So it's not like we're talking about something which is going to happen in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month from now. We're talking about our motion might actually follow theirs. I mean, I don't know. I don't see a good reason to wait. And I got to tell you, the notion that we would punt the decision to a future council, I don't know where that came from, but I have every intention of fulfilling my obligations to the city until December 31. And I think this council does likewise. And I can't imagine that 4 years ago, when there was a changing of the guard of the council, that council considered for 1 minute postponing a decision during the time that they owed an obligation to the voters. So I don't.
You mean you would be suggesting that we would hire a city manager if indeed Mr. Neal were to resign? and work until mid-October, late October, that we would be appointing a city manager that would work with this council for a month and a half or 3 meetings, that would then live with, the next council would live with the results of that for 4 years or 8 years. That's what you're suggesting, that we
Mr.
would
Council,
do that appointment?
Mr. Case, what I'm suggesting is that if there's an obligation of this council to take an action, we're going to take an action. I have no idea how long a search will take. There are any number of items which we need to determine this year. We need to pass a budget. Again, that's our budget to pass, not any future council's budgets to pass. It's our budget to pass. I mean, it might not be possible to find a replacement city manager this year. I don't know. I mean, the only matter which Councilman Ducks had raised today is whether or not we retain Mr. Albrecht as a recruiter. That's it. I mean, he's not asked that we make any other decision. At least not that I heard.